Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Class, it's that time of year again to get everything you need for back to school. Go to the TDC Home and Building Depot in St. Kitts and City Drugstore Nevis Limited or shop tdcgroup.com. Shop and get deep discounts for all your school essentials. Backpacks, notebooks, pens, pencils, school bundles, computers, and more. While you're there, be sure to donate to Shop and Share to help the less fortunate and stay ahead of the grade. Oh, and don't forget, Flash Sale Fridays. Now that you know, class is dismissed. See you at the TDC Home and Building Depot and City Drugstore Nevis Limited. Terms and conditions apply. See stores for details.
People make the world go
This is another edition of Inside the News right here on WINNFM 98.9. Good morning, St. Kitts and Nevis, and thank you so much for tuning in to WINNFM 98.9. I'm your host for today's edition of Inside the News, Devon Cornelius. It's Saturday, July 16, 2022, and it is just 7 minutes past the hour of 11 here in our studios. Thank you so much for tuning in and joining the program today. Good morning to those of you who have joined us, of course, via radio. Those of you who are following us via social media, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, you name it. Thank you so much for joining Inside the News today. Of course, your usual participation is expected. You can call us at 466-0989 or 662-0989. The WhatsApp number is 662-2204. That is 662-2204. All right, good morning again, and thank you so much for joining me on the program today. Apologies for the late start, but we are here. This is Inside the News, and I'm your host for today, Devon Cornelius. So today we'll be looking at some of the major issues or the news that, the major issues that made the news this week, beginning right from Monday. I think Monday's date was the 11th. Right up until Friday or today, the 16th We'll be touching on about maybe just about two topics, and we'll have a conversation on that for the remainder of this program. But there's so many things happening here in St. Kitts and Nevis, outside of the politics, of course. There's so many other things that is going on. We still have our lives to go on with, and so we can't allow this election to consume us. Those people who are involved in the campaigns for the different political parties, the electoral officials, the candidates themselves. Yes, most of them, or all of them rather, would be spending most of their time on the campaign trail trying to, win people so that they can form the next government. But don't allow this election to consume you, because I believe most of us, we have families, we have friends, we have people who care about us. And when all of this is over, when the dust settles, we're going back to normal. And so creating any enemies and any confusion unnecessary is totally not what we want. It's not what we want in this election cycle. And so my advice to you is to, you participate in the election, you go out and vote for your candidate of choice or your party of choice, however you vote. And at the end of the day, remember, when all of this is over, we are still one people, Kittitians and Nevisians. We have to continue to work together and stick together. Remember, when the COVID-19 pandemic started, a lot of people came together. They put the differences aside and they were able to help each other. After this election, when a new government has been sworn in or whatever happens, we have to remember we are one people, we are one federation. Two islands, one federation. We always have to keep that in the back of our minds. We can't forget that. Don't allow this election to consume you. Don't allow this election to make you weary and bring you down. So, in the beginning of this week and into coming out of last week, of course, with the elections drawing very close, we have still not heard from the Prime Minister the date for when polling day will be, nomination day will be, but we anticipate that this announcement will be made very, very soon. But since that, as I said, the political parties and their associates, their representatives, supporters, have been readying themselves for polling day, and so they've been doing their canvassing and public meetings, political meetings, and other different political activities such as rallies and launch of constituency office, you name it. A number of things have been happening over the past few weeks here in St. Kitts and Nevis. If it is one thing that I can say, the entertainers are making some money this season. The entertainers are definitely making some money this season. And so entertainers, make sure you get your money before this election is over. The entertainers are making some money this season. So with the elections happening, something came in the news last week that we were able to cover, where there is, I don't even know how to describe it, but so we have at the electoral office where there seems to be a back and forth between the supervisor of elections and the scrutineer for the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party, Mr. Larry Vaughan. And so they have been having different views over the past few days, or maybe going on to 2 weeks. I'll just share with you an article that we did here at WINFM. So the date for the National Assembly elections in St. Kitts and Nevis is yet to be announced, but work by the electoral officials and political party representatives continue. The St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party, through its constitutionally appointed scrutineer, Larry Vaughan, continues to examine and monitor the registration process daily at the electoral office, which include the certificates of registration. And Vaughan told WINFM that he has been accessing the certificates of registration for scrutiny since early June, I think the 2nd of June 2022. However, since last week, Vaughan claims that the supervisor of elections, Elvin Bailey, instructed the staff at the office, the electoral office, to restrict his access to the book, and Bailey has since denied those claims. I think most of you have seen the interview by Mr. Bailey suggesting that saying that that is not the case, and he has not been denying Mr. Vaughan or any other scrutineer for that matter access to the electoral office and any of the material or whatever that they, by law, have the right to scrutinize. Mr. Vaughan said that, and when I came across the interview, and even when we spoke to Mr. Bailey, the issue is, now Mr. Vaughan, as a scrutineer, is allowed to access the book where the registration is done. That is the certificate of registration. And so every time someone registers, it is Mr. Vaughan's job as a scrutineer, according to the Constitution. I think it is Section 35 of the National Assembly Elections Act. Mr. Vaughan has the right to examine that book and examine and scrutinize other things within the electoral office, and that is one of them, the certificates of registration. And so that is part of his duties. According to Mr. Vaughan, he's at the office on a daily basis to ensure that the electoral process is examined thoroughly and scrutinized, as that is what he was appointed to do. When I spoke with Mr. Bailey and listening to another interview with him, Mr. Bailey is saying that it is not a case of the electoral office denying Mr. Vaughan access at all. It is them saying, instead of us having to give you the book every time somebody registers, let us complete the work, and then we will give you the book. However, Mr. Vaughan is saying that was never the case before, and there is no specified time to say, well, if somebody comes to register now, you have the right to give me 7 days after, or 10 days after, or whatever days or months or weeks or whatever. And so there's a back and forth between the electoral office, which is the supervisor of elections, Elvin Bailey, and the scrutineer, Mr. Vaughan. Mr. Vaughan says Mr. Bailey has not received any complaints that he has, I'm quoting Mr. Vaughan now. Mr. Bailey has not received any complaints that I have tampered with, torn out any leaves of, or in any way destroyed the certificates of registration. Mr. Bailey seems to be making up unfounded claims that would allow him to want to restrict access to the book. It is quite interesting that if books that are current, the leaves can be torn out of them. What happens to the books that are not current? Has he pasted them with a special glue to prevent them from being damaged? Now, Mr. Vaughan went on to say that these books can be tampered with, and other books that I have requested were never tampered with, shows that Bailey has put a red herring into the discussion. Mr. Bailey, when we spoke to him on Wednesday of this week, Mr. Bailey said that they have never had any scrutineer who has tampered with any of their books before, any of these certificates of registration, so that issue has never happened before. As a matter of fact, Bailey said that we never really had any scrutineers sitting there religiously doing what this scrutineer is doing. So the answer is no. Mr. Bailey went on to say that the certificate is an integral part of the registration. So while we are during the day using the book, we don't really want to be giving it out, taking it back, giving it out. And if Mr. Vaughan wants to get access to the book, he can get it. But during the day while we are registering people, we don't really want to disrupt our registration process or flow when people are coming to be dealing with the scrutineer. So that is the issue that is going on right now, and I'm very sure most of you have seen or heard of the issue via the news and social media that is going on right now. Of course, this is the election season, and so Mr. Bailey and Mr. Vaughn, they have the right to carry out their constitutionally appointed duties. Mr. Bailey, his job is to supervise the elections and make sure that things are in place. Mr. Vaughn, as the scrutineer too, has the right to examine any, the certificates of registration in this regard and any other document that he requests to ensure that there is a fair process. Not suggesting that there won't be, but these mechanisms and these things are put in place to ensure that there is a level playing field for all participating in this. So there's a lot going on. There's really, really a lot going on. And from where I sit, I can say that nobody is taking any chances. Nobody is taking any chances. Everybody wants to be careful in this one. Everybody wants to make sure that they are doing what they're supposed to be doing, because this election, I believe, is going to be historic on many levels, and it is just for us to sit back and see what is going to happen. Some people have been predicting what they think may happen. For me, as I've said before, I'm not going to write off anybody. I think everyone has a chance. Oftentimes we would say, well, this person going to win or that person going to win. And then when the day comes, we realize it's a whole different ball game. And so this is one election that we're going to have to watch very closely, as we are not sure of exactly what is going to happen. But based on what I've been seeing and hearing, the political parties in St. Kitts and Nevis, they are really not taking this election lightly. Everybody wants to win, as the case has always been before. Everybody wants to win. Everybody wants to get into office. Everybody wants to ensure that they receive the right amount or the most votes so that they can get into government. But there can only be one winner. There can only be one winner. But this is a very interesting conversation that people have been having over the past few weeks, speaking about the possible coalitions that may come out of this election. If any one single party would get the majority of seats to form the government by themselves, we don't know what is going to come out of this. However, it appears as if most are leaning towards that conversation of a coalition. Most are leaning towards the conversation of a coalition forming after this election. But as I've said, it is left to be seen what is going to happen. Guys, it is 22 minutes past the hour of 11. I'll take a break now to give a shout out to our sponsors, and when we come back, we'll continue Voices right here on WINNFM 98.9. Let's take this break, and we'll be right back.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
People make the world go round.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Buying your medication is easy with City Drug Store's curbside pickup. WhatsApp our certified pharmacist at 662-8769 with your requests. For prescriptions, take a clear photograph and send for review. We will engage you in dialogue and then provide a quotation and link for payment. You can then pay via TDC's online payment portal. And once the transaction is complete, you'll be notified that your pickup is ready. Yes, it's that easy. Send your WhatsApp message to 662-8769 to order your medications today with City Drug Store's curbside pickup service.
People make the world go
Welcome back to Inside the News here on WINNFM 98.9. It's 26 minutes past the hour of 11 here in the studio. And the phone lines are open. We're going to take some calls now to hear from you, the good listeners of WINNFM 98.9, your take on what is going on. We're on the topic of the tensions between the supervisor of elections and the scrutineer for the St. Kitts Labour Party over monitoring and examination of voter registration. You know, election after election, this continues to be a hot button topic, voter registration, as everybody is of the opinion that something shady always happens. Every election, I think you would agree with me when I say that we always hear about this happening and that happening with voter registration. What's going on now is there is a scrutineer, Mr. Larry Vaughan, constitutionally appointed on behalf of the St. Kitts Labour Party to monitor and examine the process. And Mr. Vaughan claims that there are some irregularities happening, and he has been speaking with the media on this issue, and Mr. Bailey has since dismissed the claims. Let's head to the phone lines. You have our first caller. Okay, we lost that caller. Let's take this one. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Hey, good morning, Devon. How you doing?
I'm good, thanks. And you?
Man, you're giving God thanks along to hear you sing. We need a break from this lot of Tululu, you know?
After the elections.
After that, you're going to get plenty ball in. All who put you out bet. Give your money. Don't bet.
Well,
you never know what will happen.
Some people are sure, so I guess that is why they're betting.
Boy, the only person sure is God. You hear me? Some people actually setting themselves up, because the probability of them being elected is slim. Because the fight don't come down to basically one or two parties, you know.
Who do you think those parties are?
The traditional ones. Because remember, in Nibis are two
Labour and PAM?
parties, In Nibis is two. A straight fight between NRP and CCM.
And
now, who will win that? Nobody's sure.
And in St. Kitts, it's who?
In St. Kitts, you have PAM Labour and now PLP. PLP is Labour, so it's still a matter of PAM and Labour.
So are you saying it's a fight? Are you saying that PAM is fighting against Labour and PLP, or it's Labour and PLP?
It's PAM and Labour. PAM and PLP Labour and SKNM Labour. So PAM is fighting against two Labour. So it's Labour.
Okay. Why did you say that? Why you say that?
this traditional thing. Because PLP can't say they have any base.
Base.
Put it that way, right?
Yes, base. Yes, that's the word you're looking for.
They don't have any base other than maybe in 7.
Do you think that is a disadvantage for PLP?
It is, because same as people, like how they say, when the bell ring, they find the class.
They find the class, yes.
You understand?
Yes.
All kind of talking coming on and going off. But the fight is between Pam and Labour's. We make it plural, right? Is that? You don't see, sir? Think about it.
Well, we know traditionally the fight is always between the traditional parties. If you look across the pattern in Caribbean elections, right? Let's look at Grenada, for example. Grenada have, I'm not sure exactly how many political parties they have, but I know it's more than 2. They have the 2 main ones. They have one, I think is the NNP and the NDC. Over the years, the fight has always been between the 2 main parties, and then the parties that come, the parties that come after, they get what's left.
Yes, what a scrabble.
But let me say this.
Look in Jamaica.
Right, but before you continue, let me say this. Now, that has always been the tradition. It may or may not be the situation here, and I say may or may not because we don't know what is going to happen. But if it comes down to a case of that happening, where PLP gets an upper hand, what would you say to that?
No, for them to get the upper hand, they have to get 6. They have to get more than the SKN LP.
I don't see anybody getting any 6.
Right, so the chances are, if push come to shove, they will have to join with the Labour Party. Because for them to say that they're running against Pam, and after the election, we're back in the same unity, what you call that? That's in a waste of government money. And better they settle the matter now before they go into it.
Wait, I didn't understand what you just said. Repeat that.
Let me say it again slowly. If at the end of the election, PLP is forced to join with PAM and CCM, what have we gained?
Oh, wow.
Those are possibilities, you know?
Well, that would be sad.
That's what I'm saying. So the only option they have is to join with Labour.
But how do you feel about a Labour and PLP coalition?
It's Labour. He came from the heart of it, you know. He was the expected successor to Dr. Douglas. And as long as Dr. Douglas is around, because while Dr. Drew is saying he ain't want none, Dr. Douglas is keeping the prospect open. He has said it publicly.
But Dr. Douglas is no longer the Labour Party leader.
Darling, he owned the party, please.
I'm telling
who paid the piper called the truth.
Well, that is your opinion. I'm telling you what I know.
I know he's not formally or legally, but he carries, remember, influence, eh?
Oh, okay.
You know influence, right?
Yeah, that's what you're saying.
He holds more influence in the party than Dr. Drew because he has been there for 20 years and he still won't move. Now, if he had separated himself, even we know he would have outside influence. When you're right inside, can you imagine? I mean, given the person temperament, because it's temperament. Darling, don't be surprised if PLP and Labour have to join together.
Yeah, I honestly am not surprised if anybody joins together. This election, a coalition between any party and is very much possible. I hear people, and I mean, people are entitled to their opinion, right? But I hear people talk about, oh, this and that ain't gonna join, and that and this ain't gonna join. Let me tell you something, right? When these leaders and these politicians sit down in the meetings, you would be surprised of the things that they say and the things that they think about, because everybody wants to be in government. So when people out there saying that, oh, we ain't gonna join with this and we ain't gonna join with that, I beg you, please.
Now you must ask them what point they got, what position they have in the decision making thing to say that.
Well, that is the question.
They'll come in the morning and tell you, and whether you like it or you don't like it. Well, last night I almost died with laughter when I was listening to a PLP meeting down in Boyd's. And who should be there singing? Sydney Osborne.
Yeah, I was listening to it as well.
I mean, you don't know who is who. I mean, it makes the joining easier. You know, there's a party called PIP.
No.
You know about PIP?
PIP? No, I haven't.
Party always in power. No, it's true. A lot of people, especially civil servants, they join PIP. They never lost. The party never lose.
I just get what you say.
But you see, I'm teaching you because you're young. You know? A lot of people join PIP.
They go where the wind blow.
Tomorrow morning, I think Lord Cutter sang a song called the On the Wall. They're sitting on the wall, and when the supervisor called the number, they jump down on either side.
All right.
They're on the winning side with Jesus.
All right.
Now let me get to the Larry Vaughn thing. Larry is creating a sensation. Nothing but that. If you listen to what he says, he has been going there and getting the thing month after month, right? He has not seen any, what is the word you use?
Irregularities?
No, right. For all the weeks he has been going there, he has not seen any. The only discrepancy, he said, he goes there in the morning and maybe he stays there because, you know, that is his job. He ain't got nothing else to do. So he is accustomed to work with the book, maybe when nobody's in the office. Fair enough, eh? If they're not using it. Now, what the supervisor said that sometimes, because it needs a compromise, eh? The book, he says, contains 50 pages. And so he's asking Mr. Vaughn to wait until that book is filled out. Now, he went on to make the offer of after hours. You heard that, right? I would have, if I was Larry, I would have jumped for that offer. Since I can't have it when the workers using it. And tell me when after hours start. And would somebody be available for me to use it after hours? Those all sound like more plausible things. But, you know, when it comes to that party here, they're creating a scenario in case they lose. That's what it is. And knowing Larry is a sensationalist. By nature, you know?
All right.
Very intelligent person, but a sensationalist. And the party is looking for an excuse or something to make confusion about. And as the man directed him, the things are on the website. If you have 5 parties, five, you know, and only this one making a noise, what do you say? Because I think you asked the man if the other parties the thing, and what he said.
No, I didn't ask him if they have other parties. Well, he didn't say if they had. They have had other scrutineers, but he never said whether they have other scrutineers. No. So I have to ask that question if they have other scrutineers.
Yeah,
maybe it's a case.
Maybe Jason asked them.
Yeah, maybe it's a case that they do, but these scrutineers are just doing something different. But I don't know if the other parties have.
Rather than being there all day, maybe they come and they go.
All right. Okay, well, we want to take some more calls, all right?
All right, then. So all I got to say, they are looking, the party, because there are some instigators in that party.
All right, well, thank you so much for your contribution to this program. It is 11:40, and we're taking some more calls right here on WINNFM 98.9. Let's head back to the phone lines. We'll take this call. Caller, good morning. Sorry, you're on the air.
That's okay, man. Good morning. I need to make a little contribution.
Go right ahead.
Because I find that Ham and Labour have really been trying to mislead the people. And I want people to say a deceptive move, right? And I've been recently in a conversation with a few young people. And the point then that I'm going to outline now is basically what these young people saw that was going on. And I will say this. Let me attack the peace and the pop in the first place. Because they're saying, oh, we're not going to get rid of them, we're going to keep it. So let me start with Pam. A representative from Pam, a man who sits in the government, I'm not calling his name, because he's a lawyer, making a money, right? He said, I don't know nothing about a peace. You don't know nothing about a peace. Well, if you don't know nothing about a peace, how you want to know, assure the young people them that when you get in there, you're suddenly going to keep it. It's like saying you're going to take over a company, but telling the people them, the employees, you know, when I take over, all of y'all will have your job. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to terminate nobody. And then when you reach in there, you find out kind of loophole that, well, you know, I didn't know that the books was so, and I didn't know. And you can make up anything just to get rid of them. So when I brought those points, the young people them already sight. So I had to admonish them to please in every street corner, every gathering, inform the rest young people them. Don't buy them propaganda from Pam and Labour with the stupidness boy they can keep. They intend to keep nothing. Once they get in there, that's the end of that. It should be PLP all the way who looking out for y'all. Let me touch on the men now. With Dr. Joe. He said he's gonna mend it. Even if it ain't broken, I don't know what fix anyone. I don't know what mend anyone, right? But to me what he described was what used to happen maybe back in the 70s. Right now, let me say this. The PAP, as far as I know, you go, you fill out the application, and that's what I'm saying, as far as I know, because all who have spoken to this is the procedure they have told me. You fill out the application, then maybe check with Social Security, who have all the information about employees, right? And then know exactly what your outcome is. Back in the day, Labour had people going by your doorstep and sitting down and want to know your business and peeping in your house and all kind of thing. But no petition don't like to give out their business. And that is why the Soviet are going on there, is having such problems. Now, even now with the campaign, people ain't want no politician on the doorstep in the front room no more. They guard the secrecy. So back in the day, they used it and they created a sort of cold favor thing about it. And that is nonsense Labour trying to bring back to people in 2022 and going forward. Black days could come back. Now, let me give you a little example. You could imagine two neighbors, right? The Labour people then come around. God forbid, but I just say, just how they describe the program will work. They come around, they assess two neighbors next to each other. They say, okay, you look like you could do with $300. You look like you could do with 5. If they use 5 as the lawyer, they say, okay, we assess you at 5. They go next door, they assess them people here as 1,200 or 1,500 as they say. When they go and the neighbor say, how much they assess you at? 15. My mothers were the only assess me at 5. So it creates animosity right there, confusion, too much vast disparity between the amount of people getting different amounts, confusion there. Right now the PAP, okay, you qualify for 500. Pass the board. The only question to be, them not pay the money yet, money gone on yet, yeah. And everybody good. No argument. But Labour trying to come back with the old time stupidness and the young people then seeing through the veil of deception. I just want the more young people them to really, really see what these people are afraid.
All right.
I may have no intention of keeping the peace, because if they don't vote the peace, I don't know how they keep the peace. And they want to come back with a mend and ain't broken.
All right.
I don't know what they're going to fix. They want to come with favor and then give the big Labour people the maximum 15 or whatever it was. I don't even know if it was really any 15.
Okay.
Because nobody could. I hope they will go in the records and see who used to really get the 15.
We want to take some more calls, all right?
Let me finish there. One last thing, right? I heard a Labour doctor yesterday on a program there saying about how it's $1,500. Deceptive. A big doctor being very disingenuous. And here, Dr. You said the maximum was maybe like 1,500, right? So he trying to fool, hoodwink people like, he was 15. So I'm going to finish for you. Young people, PLP, all the way.
All right.
Put them in the league.
Well, caller, thank you so much for your contribution to this program. We're going to take some more calls right here on Inside the News. It is 11:44. Let's take this other caller. Hey, caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Hi, good morning. How are you doing, Carl?
I'm good, thanks. And you?
I'm giving God thanks and bless.
All right.
Mr. Cornelius, this painting up and down the place. I need all the political leaders. You see, look how they have a press conference. Come out of the press conference. All of the leaders, them, and tell the supporters to done the stupidness. It's getting out of hand. I see a red dog. Dog and all the painting. This is getting out of hand. And if the politician, I mean, come out and say, done it. We are in front of something serious, boy.
All right, caller, thank you for your contribution. Let's take this break. We'll be right back. It's 11:45. Let's take this break. We'll be right back.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
TDC Financial Services. We're here for you to help you make your dreams come true. Whether your needs are big or small, we'll support you with them all. TDC Financial Services. We are strong. TDC Financial Services. This is where you belong.
TDC Financial Services, where money is made easy.
People make the world go round.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are solely those of the participant or caller and do not reflect the views of WINNFM 98.9. WINNFM reserves the right to disconnect any caller who infringes the law or offends the right of any person. The station will also refuse to take any call from any person who, in WINNFM's considered opinion, is likely to expose the station to liability for statements made on the air.
People make the world go round.
Welcome back to Inside the News. Let's take this caller. Okay, we lost that caller. Welcome back to Inside the News right here on WINNFM 98.9. I'm your host for today, Devon Cornelius. We're taking some more calls right up until 12 noon where we break for the headline news. And when we come back at 12:30, we'll keep the program going. The phone lines are open at 466-0989. Let's take this call. Caller, you're on the air. Good morning.
Yes, me again. Now, the last caller, I think he really doesn't understand the aspiration of young people. Any young person who expects to remain on PAP.
No, I don't. Not the last caller. You're referring to the previous one.
Yeah, the one before.
Mm-hmm.
Second to last caller.
Mm-hmm.
Now, according to the PAP, the household, I think this is where a lot of the things went wrong. It is the total earnings of the household that must be below 3,000. Isn't that so?
Yes, it is.
It boils down to where in the same household more than one person getting PAP. Why not? Because of dishonest applications or some political favor. Now, the difference between that and the MEND was not 70 nothing. I remember when Marcelo was in. It was a joint program. I think the program actually ended. That's why they don't have it. Between some South American country, Mexico, whatever. And the thing was just, it is aimed at families, especially women with children. Not a single person up and down the place. What they were trying to do is to keep the children living above the poverty level. And it involved the mother or the father having to attend classes to help the person maybe to acquire skills or whatever. And the amount they got depended on the number of children that they had. Because one day I happened to be in this supermarket and this lady pulled out her check. And I said, miss, because one told me, I cashed it to me, said, yes, I just get the thing to you know. But I'm going understand she only getting 300. And the lady had, I saw much of this, and it was 17. So I asked her, Miss, what you have 5? I said, well, the father in St. Thomas. I said, you children father in St. Thomas, and you have the government. Oh, well, I can't be bothered. You know? So why? But the trouble is, if you transfer to MEND, because it's a good program, eh? No lie. It doesn't just hand you money. A lot of the people on PAP will have to come off. A lot. And I don't see PAP or peace should be any reason to vote for government. Because as I said, no party will end it. So to inspire fear in people is ridiculous. Policies change, economic situation change. We hear that America, USA, is expecting to have a recession. Right?
Mm.
We will have, because our economies are tied together. We are an open economy. That is why prices go up out there, go up in here. The government may find it difficult to maintain, even though they mean to do it. They may not have the means to do it at the extent that they have.
All right.
So it doesn't mean that PLP said they're going to give you. It depends. It is also tied to the citizenship by investment program, and that again is under threat. So what our young people should be doing is trying to sort out their own lives, get a skill. The offer is there to do entrepreneurship, you know, which some have taken, but some, as Mr. Nubian said, some only want clean drain.
All right. Well, we want to take some more calls, all right?
And they're going to get the peace.
All right.
All right, then.
Let's hit this other caller. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Hello, caller. Good morning. You're on the air. Okay, we lost that caller. Let's hit this other call. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, good day. I want to engage you a bit, right? Let me turn my stuff down a bit.
No, turn off the radio. There's a feedback coming through. You have to turn it off.
Okay. You still getting it?
No, go ahead now. I can hear you.
Okay, right. Let's say that you're working for a company, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the company, you have different departments. And the CEO or the manager of the company emerged from your department, running the company, and things is happening in other departments that the manager did not came from. And your department is there left there like stagnant, nothing is happening. But eventually the company decide, okay, boy, I think we need a different person to manage the company, and they get rid of that manager. But the managers decide still, okay, I'm going to still hold on. And I'm going to still vie to be a part of the management team. You think that it is fair for that manager to come back to the department that he left, went as manager, and ask you all to help him to get back, not as the manager, but be a part of the management team? You think that would be fair? In your view, you think, would you help him to get back in management while he was there, he did not look out for your department?
No.
Would you help him to get back there?
No.
And do you think it would be fair to help him get back in management when he did not look out for your thing for the entire time that he was there?
No, I won't.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna leave it like that.
All right.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you, caller, for your contribution to this program. It's 11:54, just a few minutes left before we break at 12 for the headline news. We'll take a few more calls. We'll see how many we can get in before, maybe just one or two before the headline news. This is Inside the News right here on WINNFM 98.9, and I'm your host for today, Devon Cornelius. Thank you so much for joining the program today. We're taking some more calls. Call us at 466-0989, 662-0989, or 762-0989. Just about 5 minutes to the hour. Let me say thank you so much for your contribution to the program. Thank you so much for calling and participating. For those of you who have joined on social media, Facebook and YouTube and the other social media platforms, thank you so much for your contribution. It's 4 minutes to the hour. Just one more call and then we will begin wrapping up this program. For those of you who tuned in late, of course, we are on the topic of the upcoming general elections here in St. Kitts and Nevis and the possible outcome and what may happen. Of course, some of the activities surrounding the general election. We have the back and forth in the electoral office between the supervisor of elections and the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party scrutineer, Mr. Larry Vaughan. Back and forth between the certificates of registration, where Mr. Vaughan is demanding I don't want to use the word demanding because it is his constitutional right, but to see and examine the certificates of registration. And Mr. Bailey has said that it is not a case of the electoral office denying him access. What they're saying is that just give us some time, let us complete the work first so we can hand it over to you, as Mr. Bailey claims that he does not want to slow up the process. Let's take this final call and we'll wrap up the program to take the headline news. Caller, you're on the air. Good morning.
Yes, again, me again. You remember last year after the election of the Labour Party, when they had the elections to elect their new leader, right? You remember Mr.
In
Larry
November?
Vaughan?
In November,
No?
last year, November?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You remember the same Mr. Larry Vaughan was on social media saying that the electing of Dr. Jew was unconstitutional he was not within the constitution of the Labour Party, and he was supposed to take Mr. Jew to court. Could you recall those stuff? I think because I know I heard it on your news, part of your news thing. I don't know if it was you who was the person who read it.
I don't recall the part about taking anybody to court. I do recall that there was some back and forth between the constitutionality or something like that of the leader, but I don't recall the part about the court.
But you know that that person who was doing that was Mr. Larry Vaughan, though.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, right. So how come now? So what the election now? Was there some amendment or some adjusting done to that election or to his being elected as the leader now, so that Mr. Larry Vaughan just fit in place, or he just feels now that hey, Labour might win, so let me fall in line to get what I want. You see the kind of convenience kind of people we have in this place, Mr. Cornelius. You know, people are being convenient for what they want. It's not about no real country, all of them you hear talking and so. It's not about no real country, because some of them, if they was getting what they want from Timothy, you would have been hearing a different song and dance. And I just hope if Mr. Jew is lucky to become the Prime Minister, I'm telling you, better watch your back. Because by December, I'll bet you, by December, you're going to hear some of these people who singing and praising Dr. Jew coming on the radio, or they putting things on in in social media on the fake profile, cussing the same Dr. Joe. I'll bet you that even if it's a sweetie we'll think, or a bottled water, I'll bet you. And when it start happening, you're gonna say, boy, hey, I remember Saturday inside the news program, somebody calling and said that. I'll bet you that. Thank you.
All right, thank you for your contribution to this program. It is 12 o'clock. We'll take this break now for the headline news, and when we come back, we'll continue Inside the News right here on WINNFM 98.9. I've been your host for the first hour, Devon Cornelius. Stick and stay. I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back at 12:30 to continue this program. Let's take this break.
You found the sound. 98.9. Win FM.
We now bring you the headline news. The headline news is brought to you by Caribbean Alliance, The Grange, KDP Enterprises, Carib Brewery, and the ICDF Taiwan Technical Mission.
With over a century of perfection behind the Mackeson name, a smooth blend with perfect balance and richness, it's no wonder Mackeson Triple Stout has a legacy of perfection. Enjoy the world over. Introducing our new look with the same great taste. Mackeson. All hail the king.
Please drink responsibly.
Shipping your cargo shouldn't be a hassle. It can be as easy as a single call to Amerijet International, your worldwide cargo transportation solution. We provide all the services you need to ship your goods anywhere in the world, whether your shipment is fresh, frozen, large or small, alive or hazardous. You can count on Amerijet to deliver it safe and sound. Amerijet International, by land, sea or air, we get it there. For more information, visit us online at www.amerijet.com or call us at KDP Enterprises at 466-9595.
Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built, non-governmental healthcare organization on St. Kitts? It's situated at Otley's, 7 miles east of Basseterre in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodations to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020. Fax 466-8221 or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com.
Protect your lifestyle with Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Dealing well with a low reputation and service for second to none. Securing you is our mission. People that you can trust, your business, property, we got you covered. Motor or personal, whatever it is, we got you covered. 130 years in this business, we've got you covered. For all your insurance needs, visit or call us at 465-2631 or 469-5303. Delia Walwyn, people you can trust.
Think before you bin it. There can be some use in it. The St. Kitts and Nevis Solid Waste Management, in collaboration with Taiwan ICDF Technical Mission and the Department of Environment, presents Let's Recycle. We are encouraging all residential homes, commercial businesses, and schools to bring along your plastic bottles, metal cans, and aluminum cans, ready for an opportunity to win big. From 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. every Tuesday at the following locations in St. Kitts: the Connery Roundabout, the parking lot at Buckley's in front of Best Buy, and the last Saturday of each month in Deep Bay. In Nevis, every second and fourth Friday of each month at Delta Petroleum, Ex-Petrol in Camps, Big Six in Gingerland, and Old Artisan Village in Charlestown. But wait, that's not all. 1 pound equals 1 point. So bring your recyclables and build up your points for a chance to win stainless steel thermal bottle, flatware set, and much more. To learn more about the recycling project, do visit our Facebook page at Let's Recycle in St. Kitts and Nevis, or contact us at 465-2372. The choice is yours. Save it or waste it. You are the difference. Reduce, reuse, recycle. With the Win Headline News, I am Kevon Brown.
I am Devon Cornelius.
And I am Yulana Weeks.
Making the headlines:
protesters gather to demand immediate election call.
CIBC First Caribbean receives approval for the sale of its assets.
Jamaican health officials reportedly unable to conduct proper contact tracing for patient diagnosed with monkeypox who escaped isolation, causing anxiety in a community in the country. Internationally, the United Nations World Meteorological Organization has warned temperatures will become more extreme in the years ahead. It comes as a heat wave sweeps across much of Europe. Now, the details.
While Prime Minister Dr. Timothy Harris maintains that the election will be held at the right time, thousands took to the streets of Bastia on Friday to demand that elections be held now. Supporters of the main opposition, St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party, led by Dr. Terence Drew, and the People's Action Movement, led by former Deputy Prime Minister Sean Richards, marched in solidarity against the Harris-led administration. Some of the demonstrators spoke to WIN on Friday, explaining their reasons for participating in the march.
Must go. This is a march, a freedom march. No gimmicks, no tricks. 90 days is 90 days. Timor must go. It's time for change in this country. It's time for better leadership. I am marching against corruption. I am marching against nepotism. I am marching for the fairness of everyone here in this federation. Not just some, not just a family. So that is why I'm here supporting this march. Thank you.
One demonstrator said. Another person said,
We need a cabinet with sense. We need people who have understanding, who want to run the country decently and honesty. That is the key right now. So at the moment, we are protesting and we are standing up for democracy, transparency, accountability. During the COVID, Timothy tell us, follow the rules, follow the science, follow the Constitution. Why is Timothy not following the Constitution? Timothy, your days are numbered. We had enough time for you to go.
Wynn spoke to another person who was at the scene of the Freedom March who had different views on the march. The individual said,
We are now watching a march that is led by the Labour Party. And when we watch at how the march is proceeding, the Labour Party is not putting the full emphasis to guide the people properly. All they want is power-hungry struck. And we can't be really in this Iowa. What are we really doing to deliver our people out of this crazy mess that we see our Prime Minister and the others have lead us into? Even the former Prime Minister know what is going on because there are secrecy behind the class. So let us wake up African people. Let us educate ourselves and move forward as a progressive people. Give thanks.
Section 48 of the Constitution of St. Kitts and Nevis states that elections must be held within a 90-day period following the dissolution of Parliament. The election is highly anticipated on many levels. More than 30 candidates, including 7 women, are vying for office, 3 candidates per constituency, with the exception of Nevis 10.
CIBC First Caribbean and the St. Kitts Nevis Anguilla National Bank Limited has been given approval for the sale of the assets of First Caribbean International Bank Barbados Limited in St. Kitts and Nevis. In an official statement, the entities have given assurance that there will be an orderly transfer of client accounts between First Caribbean and the St. Kitts Nevis Anguilla National Bank, as the teams have been working closely together to complete the transition, which is expected to take place in the upcoming months. The teams have made a commitment to communicate with the clients to ensure that they know when the CIBC First Caribbean Bank's services end and when that of the St. Kitts Nevis Anguilla National Bank begins. Moreover, they will keep clients abreast of the management of their accounts. In the interim, merchant services, retail and credit card clients, and corporate clients may contact CIBC First Caribbean on Mondays to Fridays at any time, as well as Saturdays and Sundays between 7 a.m. and 12 midnight at 1-866-743-2557 or 784-452-5113 or 1-800-744-1168. The St. Kitts Nevis Anguilla National Bank will be offering similar services for clients who may have concerns. For general inquiries and card services or merchant account inquiries, contact the National Bank at 869-469-2121 or 1-877-787-8158. Contact can also be made via email at nbfirst@sknanb.com. Meanwhile, a similar transition is taking place between the CIBC First Caribbean International Bank Barbados Limited and the Bank of St. Vincent and the Grenadines Limited. It is unclear, however, whether this will be occurring in any other country.
In regional news, Jamaican health officials reportedly unable to conduct proper contact tracing for patient diagnosed with monkeypox who escaped isolation, causing anxiety in a community in the country. Television Jamaica has that report.
The patient with the monkeypox disease may be back in hospital, but there is growing anxiety among residents and stakeholders in Clarendon. It was revealed today that health officials are unable to conduct proper contact tracing as they've yet to identify all the persons the man interacted with after coming out of isolation. The issue was raised at the Clarendon Municipal Corporation meeting on Thursday.
Nearly a week after the saga, which saw the monkeypox patient leaving isolation at the Maypen Hospital in Clarendon, there are still many questions left unanswered. The man was subsequently found at the home of a relative. This triggered criticism of security protocols at the health facility, with the patient also suggesting he was allowed to walk out the door. But at the Municipal Corporation meeting on Thursday, Medical Officer of Health for Clarendon, Dr. Kimberly Scarlett Campbell, suggested differently.
Based on what I know, it does not appear that the person walked out of the hospital. And I'm just telling you, based on the information that I have, it does not substantiate that.
In its report on the incident, the Ministry of Health suggested that the patient escaped through a window. However, Dr. Scarlett Campbell would neither confirm or deny the claim. Councillor for the Yorktown Division, Ufel Purcell, believes there is a bigger issue that needs to be addressed. After escaping, the patient was picked up in a motor vehicle.
We can be in serious trouble. So it is not something, some of us might be taking it very simple, but it is not. It is a serious matter, because when those persons want to be with that gentleman, and it is transferred to them, and it's being transferred now into the parish and into Jamaica, then it can cause a very serious implication.
Dr. Scarlett Campbell admits that officials do not have details on all the persons the patient interacted with while he was out to pursue contact tracing.
So I need some information from the public as to who was driving that car. I need to find that person who was driving that car. Huh? He's not giving that information. He's not giving that information. So that is my concern. I don't know who was driving the car.
We now bring you these international reports.
A searing summer heat wave, bringing record-breaking temperatures to much of Europe and sparking wildfires across the continent. In France, thousands of people have been forced to evacuate as wildfires in the country's southwest rage out of control. More than 7,000 hectares have been destroyed, with residents describing the scene as post-apocalyptic. The evacuation center in Gironde serving as a refuge for residents.
We have received almost 500 offers of accommodation from the inhabitants in the surrounding area. It's an exceptional movement of solidarity.
In Spain, temperatures have been topping 40 degrees Celsius for several days. Emergency centers in the capital of Madrid are seeing an increase of colds.
We see many people who do not have the money to keep their houses cool due to the energy crisis we are having. Some don't even have adequate air conditioning, which is a very big issue at this time of the year. There are houses you enter and you think, how can they stand to be here for even 5 minutes?
The ongoing drought in Portugal and Spain provides ideal conditions for wildfires to spread. The city of Seville has become the first in the world to take part in a pilot program to categorize heat waves in an effort to save lives.
Climate-driven extreme heat is killing more people than any other of the climate-driven hazards. And heat is invisible, it is silent, and it kills slowly, and people are not aware of it.
And for the first time, the UK has issued a heat red alert, warning of a surge in heat-related hospital admissions. Record temperatures are putting even healthy people at risk of serious illness and death. The heat wave is expected to continue well into next week, as the climate crisis becomes more clear and the call to action more loud. Joanne Wolf, Al Jazeera.
Italy's longest and most important river, the Po, parched and at dangerously low levels. Its water provides the lifeblood for farmers who produce Italy's most valuable crops. Walking through his field of stunted corn, farmer Adriano Tugnolo, the son and grandson of corn growers, shows us the damage wrought by the drought.
This year this corn will just be thrown away, all because of the drought, because it hasn't rained in months. This year is totally ruined.
Downriver, where the Po empties into the Adriatic, engineer Rodolfo Laurenti shows us how the current is running in reverse, from the sea to the land, because the river is so low. Looking over maps, he shows me how salt water is entering nearby farmland. Laurenti says saltwater barriers are failing because they weren't built for such dangerously low river levels. He regularly monitors the salt levels in the river. He has never seen it this bad.
It's now registering 25 grams per litre. That means it's seawater, salt water. The level here should be 1 gram per litre to be able to distribute to farmers.
And the effect of so much saltwater incursion? Burnt crops, worthless and withering in the field. Many fields poisoned by saltwater may not even produce crops next year. It's not just a problem for agriculture. Mussel farmer Paolo Manchin says he'll lose 30% of his harvest from this lagoon on the Po Delta this year.
These mussels are all dead. Fresh water from the Po hasn't made it here, so they just die.
Whole areas usually covered by water, now exposed, turned into beaches or islands of sand in the middle of where the river usually flows. And those who provide water to farmers in the Po Valley say they're not just worried about this summer's crops, but about years to come.
A once-in-a-lifetime drought shows how life could change here forever.
If we lose this resource we have had for centuries, we'll have to abandon our excellent crops. We'd give up our whole cultural heritage.
A frightening prospect as people here and millions of others around the world struggle to adapt to a changing climate. Adam Rainey, Al Jazeera, in the Po Valley of northern Italy.
Now, it's predicted next year, India will surpass China as having the world's largest population, according to figures from the United Nations.
Both countries currently have more than 1.4 billion people, but China's slowing birth rate is expected to lead to a decline in its population. According to the UN report, India is projected to have a population of 1.668 billion in 2050. Now that's way ahead of China's population, which is expected to reach 1.317 billion people by 2050. Our population correspondent Stephanie Hegarty told me more about this report.
We had very rapid acceleration of fertility rates in India and all over the world in the past 50 years or so. But what we're seeing now is fertility rates have declined. In India, they're just above replacement level. So replacement is 2.1. If every woman in the country has 2.1 children, which is impossible, of course, the population will keep replacing itself. So India is just above that. That's quite a relatively low fertility rate, and it means that India will keep increasing, but much more slowly than it did in the past. That means that India is close to this sweet spot where it could have a very healthy working age population, a lower child and youth population, and lower older population, and that's potentially very good for the economy. That's what we've seen in China over the last 20, 30 years, and it's really helped China accelerate its economy so fast. So that's the sweet spot that India will be trying to take advantage of.
But tell us where China is as well, and is that in some ways a predictor of what India's future could be? Because it sounds like India is where China was some years ago.
Well, China this year for the first time announced that its population was about to decline. And that is something that the government there is very worried about. They're worried that there won't be enough workers to pay for pensions and to pay for the needs of children. And China's trying to do a lot to boost its population, but it's really too little too late. They just abandoned their one-child policy in 2016. India never had a one-child policy, so it's not in the same position. So China will be doing all it can to try and convince people to have more babies, but that is a very difficult thing to do. There's no country in the world that's really succeeded in doing that.
You were listening to the WINNFM Headline News on 98.9. Our top stories were:
protesters gather to demand immediate election call.
CIBC First Caribbean receives approval for the sale of its assets.
Jamaican health officials reportedly unable to conduct proper contact tracing for patient diagnosed with monkeypox who escaped isolation, causing anxiety in a community in the country. Internationally, the United Nations World Meteorological Organization has warned temperatures will become more extreme in the years ahead. It comes as a heat wave sweeps across much of Europe. Thank you for listening.
That was the WINNFM Headline News. The Headline News is brought to you by Caribbean Alliance, The Grange, KDP Enterprises, Carib Brewery, and the ICDF Taiwan Technical Mission.
The Department of Environment and St. Kitts and Nevis Solid Waste Management, along with Taiwan ICDF Technical Mission, are working on a recycling project. Everyone may hear about recycling, but how can you do your part? You can collect the plastic and metal recyclables and bring them to 7 different locations from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. In St. Kitts, every 2nd and 4th Tuesday at Connery, every 1st and 3rd Tuesday at Buckley's, the last Saturday of each month at Deer Bay Town. In Nevis, 2nd and 4th Friday at Delta Petroleum Ex-Petrol, Big Six, and Old Artisan Village alternately. Bring recyclables to earn prizes. If you bring £1, you can get 1 point. The prizes include shopping bags, logo cups, stainless flatware sets, and stainless thermal bottles. Bring more recyclables to get larger prizes. Find more information on our Facebook page, Let's Recycle in St. Kitts and Nevis. From now on, save the future, think smart, take part.
Protect your lifestyle with Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Till you walk with a local reputation and service for second to none. Securing you is our mission. People that you can trust, your business, property, we got you covered. Motor or personal, whatever it is, we got you covered. 130 years in this business, we've got you covered. For all your insurance needs, visit or call us at 465 1 or 469-5303. Dealey Walwyn, people you can trust.
Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built, non-governmental healthcare organization on St. Kitts? It's situated at Otley's, 7 miles east of Basseterre in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodations to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020. Fax 466-8221 or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com.
Shipping your cargo shouldn't be a hassle. It can be as easy as a single call to Amerijet International, your worldwide cargo transportation solution. We provide all the services you need to ship your goods anywhere in the world, whether your shipment is fresh, frozen, large or small, alive or hazardous. You can count on Amerijet to deliver it safe and sound. Amerijet International, by land, sea or air, we get it there. For more information, visit us online at www.amerijet.com or call us at KDP Enterprises at 466-9595.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib. It's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM. People make the world go
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
If you need protection, you need one who you can trust. To secure your investment, you need one who'll do you just. TDC Insurance, you're the one that you can trust. TDC Insurance, you're always safe with us.
TDC Insurance is your go-to insurance company for all your insurance needs. We take pride in offering you the best solutions and ensuring our customers are fully satisfied. TDC Insurance, we take good care of you, guaranteeing you peace of mind. You're always safe with us.
People make the world go
Welcome back to Inside the News right here on WINNFM 98.9. Guys, I'm back. Thank you so much for joining the program, and thank you so much for sticking and staying for the headline news. But we are back to continue the program right up until 1:30. It is 12:31 here in the studio, and we're going to get this program started. The phone lines are open, and we're taking your calls. Sorry, at 466-0989, 762-0989, or 662-0989. Thank you so much for joining the program. For those of you who may have joined late, the conversation earlier, of course, the upcoming elections and some of the activities surrounding the elections. Now, I just saw a poster on social media that suggests that the Prime Minister will ring the bell at a campaign rally tomorrow in Tabernacle. And so, according to this poster, which was posted to the Facebook page of the People's Labour Party, it is expected that the Prime Minister will announce the dates for Election Day and Nomination Day at a rally in constituency number 7 in the village of Tabernacle. That is his constituency. And so let us see what is going to happen. But based on this, we can expect the announcement of the election date tomorrow. Over the past few weeks, considerable amounts of pressure has been applied to the Prime Minister for him to announce the election date. People have been calling on him, his political opponents, that is, have been calling on him to announce the election date. His former team Unity partners, Mark Brantley and Sean Richards, and other opponents have been calling on him to announce the election date. The Prime Minister maintains that the election will be announced at the right time, and so he believes that tomorrow is the right time. We know that in the Constitution, it allows for 90 days, and it states that the election must be held within a 90-day period, within the 90-day period. And so duly registered voters here in St. Kitts and Nevis will head to the polls to elect new representatives of the country's National Assembly, who will then form the next government. We had the conversation about the possible coalitions before. And as I say, form the next government. That is if, after this election, a government can be formed. Because you may have a situation where, well, it is predicted that no one party will get a single majority because of how things have changed, the political landscape and how it has changed. So some political pundits say that they don't see any one party getting a single majority, while others maintain that, well, yes, somebody could get a majority. Somebody would be able to get a majority. Now, if we boil down to a case where nobody is able to get the majority and we have to, go to coalitions, then that is what it is. That is what it would have to be. Form a coalition to keep the country running. But an interesting, what I should say, an observation or interesting point made by a caller is what happens if we end back up with the same coalition. The thing is, though, this is a very tricky situation that we've found ourselves in, because some parties have said that they're not going to join. Others have not say where they stand. Others are hoping that they can form the government by themselves. But, I mean, I maintain that anybody can say what they want to say. But on the night of the election, or after the election rather, when the dust settles and the votes are in, then that is when the negotiations will begin. And people will be calling people and saying, well, I think we can work together to form the government, because I think all parties will hold the view that it is better to be in government than in opposition. And so it's left to be seen very soon what will happen. But I want to hear from you. I want to hear your thoughts on this. So let's head to the phone lines. We'll take this caller. Caller, good afternoon. You are on the air.
Good afternoon, Devon.
Good afternoon.
First off, regarding the impasse between the supervisor of elections and Larry Vaughan, it again highlights deficiencies in the electoral system and the operation of the office. To be specific, the electoral office should be one of the most efficient, transparent, and accessible departments in government, for its operation determines the level of confidence that the stakeholders, be it candidates, parties, or voters, the level of confidence they have in this all-important department. I mean, that department is critical to our democracy. It's critical to having free and fair elections, right? It should be totally independent of government, but as we well know, it is not. And because it is not, it is important that it be manned by someone who has the right temperament and posture, who is conscious of his important role, and who can exercise good judgment and do what is right. It should not be manned by any party hack or some bureaucrat who is power drunk or have an exaggerated sense of self-importance, or who will nitpick at the letter rather than the spirit of the law and the regulations. I heard the supervisor of elections say, for instance, yes, the law says that the scrutineer should have unfettered access, but it didn't stipulate when. I mean, what nonsense is that? The supervisor of elections should bend over backwards to accommodate the scrutineer. And the office should be managed in such a way that the scrutineer and the staff's work do not conflict, right? Neither should be impeded, neither the staff or the scrutineer. This is not one of those mutually exclusive cases where if you have one, you can't have the other, right? So I hope this is addressed soonest or ASAP, as the bureaucratic jargon suggests. you know that they like to use those words. Okay, but it is too important to, first of all, be left up to one person to decide this. There is an electoral commission, I think. I think I'm not sure exactly how the flowchart goes, but maybe the supervisor of election may be answerable to, is it the Attorney General or is it the Electoral Commission? The organizational chart, I'm not sure about.
Yeah, I'm not certain, but let me look that up just to be on the safe side.
Yeah. Okay, but either way, it should be seen to be operating efficiently and with some degree of independence of political interference or bias to one party or the other. Okay, and the only way to do that, the scrutineers are there for purpose. Their work should be facilitated.
Do you see? Do you see this being problematic? Because the issue, well, I don't see the issue dying down, and I've listened to both Mr. Vaughan and Mr. Bailey, and they do have valid points. I don't think it should be a case of where people are saying Larry Vaughan is trying to cause any confusion. I don't think it should be a case of anybody trying to say that Mr. Bailey is trying to obstruct democracy or anything like that. But I've listened, as I've said, I've listened to both of them. They have valid points. But do you see this, if it continues, do you see it being problematic?
Well, of course it will be problematic, and that is where the Electoral Commission should intervene, okay, to stop that and assure the public that everything is going as it should in that office. You know, we can't afford to be having, especially around this time, that office being the rather target or the object of vilification by either the public or the parties or the candidates, right? I mean, it should be able to be run in a way that avoids that, okay? And so, I mean, there are levels, like I said, of organization, and be it the Attorney General or the Electoral Commission, they should make sure that things are done in the proper way, okay? With regards to the outcome of the upcoming poll, I think the country is fatigued, you know, tired of elections, tired of campaigning, tired of having to make decisions about their future. They just want to get back to normal living, get on with their lives, and that of their children and families and their future. I would hope that they would make the correct decision this time around and don't have a result that is going to result in more of the same. You know, more machinations, more horse trading, more coalitions, you know, more transactional type politics, more deception, and another premature election. Okay? Give one party a clear mandate. That's what I'm hoping for. It's interesting that a caller earlier suggested that if a manager messes up, you don't bring back that manager to mess up again or mess up more, right? You bring somebody new to clean things up and have a different view of whatever the organization is, okay, to make it better. And that's why we need a clean slate. And so one of the prime things we should be thinking about as voters is which party would offer the best prospect of that. Okay? And I would say the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party, because if all things are examined, we know that they have delivered in the past, okay? They have the right, I think, combination of experience and youthful energy with people with fresh ideas, okay? Certainly when compared with the others, okay? We know that the others were in there, and we know exactly what has happened. I mean, they tell on each other virtually every day now, okay? And we realize that what we've had was a government that was essentially just limping along. They were dysfunctional, but hid it from us.
Some may argue otherwise, that so what you've just said, some may say something different to that, that the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party may not be the best choice. What do you say to that?
Well, I'll ask why not? If you look at what has happened in the last 7 years, what major new change in policy have been introduced? What major new project, foreign direct investment have come into the country for the last 7 years? What the present government has been doing is that it has relied on the same pillars that the government before had, which is essentially the CBI, that brought in lots of money. And it's been relying on the money that was left in the Treasury when they came into office. Well, at some point, both of those things are going to run out. And then what will we have? This is the time, this should have been the time to use that money and the investment that we have to make sure that we change our economy so that the future, because judging from what's happening in the world, the future is going to be kind of bleak. But we should be positioning ourselves now to be able to face that future. And we're not doing that. What we have, for instance, now, is we're going to have a government that is going to, we have parties that are suggesting that we have more of the same, more handouts. We're going to increase PAP. We're going to keep the peace by the same methods that we've been using before. More of the same. Well, I'm suggesting that more of the same cannot cut it. You have to go beyond that and improve things in such a way that there's a general improvement in the country. We can't just keep limping along like this. Okay, yes, I mean, we'll survive, but it's always a case where can't we do better? Right? I mean, do we really just want to survive in this world? I thought the whole idea was for each generation to make things better for the succeeding generation, for the generations to come. But what it seems like we're doing now is basically looking at now as if now will always exist. And that is not a good way to certainly if we're going to vote, we should not be thinking just about voting for what we can get now and not thinking about a year, 2, 5, 10 down the road. Right? That is the problem I have with how, for instance, the campaigns are going. Right? There's too much, especially from the PLP. They seem to be relying too much on the handouts from government, the PAP, the peace, the STEP, those things, the goodies that you can get, right? You can't, when you have over 5,000, I guess, families on something like PAP, is that any way to run a country? I mean, that's a social welfare state. And the social welfare state is just one step away from a failed state. I mean, do we really want that? You know, and so that's why I said people have to look at the choices that they have in this upcoming election.
Right.
And to me, the choices are very clear. All right, I'm surprised actually that the other parties are competitive with the SKNLP, because the other parties were in government for the past 7 years, and by their own concession, they messed up. Well, why should we return them, as the caller suggested, back to office? What can they tell us that what? They're going to try to do better this time?
All right. Well, we want to take some more
Okay,
calls, all
yeah,
right?
sure.
Okay. Let's hit this other caller. Okay, we seem to have lost that call. Let's hit this other caller. The caller, good afternoon. You're on the air.
Good afternoon, greetings. And thanks for taking over call, yeah?
All right.
You know, we just tuning in silly now. We've been holding up vibes, some musical vibes. We heard the word survival. And it's just earlier we was listening to Bob Marley's song, We Are the Black Survivors. And we also listened to a new one by his son, the Gong, Junior Gong, saying that if the struggle continues without an end, we're not going away. So he must say in the song basically saying, the struggle for end and victory for be in our hands. So I must say, this is Bob Marley's son of saying that, you know, you can listen to this song when time permits. So we say, yes, we agree with that song that we should go beyond surviving and live some life. No, we're not saying that those amongst us, even though we know what caused it, the class system causing this, because the class system is dictated by right. We keep repeating this, because the truth, upper class have everything, abundantly. Middle class, them bribe money just there, sir, from the upper class to hush for the lower class, which is in dire poverty, hand to mouth. Kamali's son sing one of them song there too, hand to mouth. And we are saying that yes, people gonna need help, and yes, the social net system for do its work, but not in no mass numbers. Let's take St. Kitts Nevis. What is our population, my brethren?
I think it's about in the region of 50,000.
Apart from them who buy passport.
I'm not sure.
Okay. So let me say 50, let me round it up at 50, 60,000. Okay? So what you want to tell me, sir? 50, 60,000 inhabitants. We cannot find an economic source that is different to this kind of the way we are championing our dignity, yeah, and championing our sovereignty, yeah, and make that economic source. We have fertile land. We can start there. Make that economic source be so up and viable that every tooth, moon, and Sam is airy economically, so that the safety net thing is no more. So that our prison, we said the other day, our prison in our midst, no more. Hear the argument about building prison. We don't want no prison we made.
Right.
Because we don't want no prisoners. You see me? These are ancient people who don't want to behave themselves, we banish them. And you go live on the sea by yourself. Yeah. And the most of it going to be ourselves because things will be airy. So, I love that song. That remind me to make this song about surviving. We need to go beyond surviving. Give thanks to the time.
Thank you so much. Let's take this. Let's head back to the phone lines. We'll take some more calls right now. Caller, good afternoon. You're on the air.
Yes, good afternoon. I just want to clarify something. That is our caller before this one, where he tried to suggest that PLP saying the programs will be the same. All the PLP candidates clearly stated that those programs will be can be improved. Nubian, for example, with the peace program, Nubian have said it over and over again. The program is at its infant stage. And he has recommended and he has, outlined so many ways, so many things that they have to do on the program still. So for him to be going on like, PLP going to continue with the same thing. Nothing goes on. He's been, like I said, disingenuous. They seem to be following the same line. And the other thing, he said, clean slate with regards to Labour. What about Labour right now is clean slate with Dr. Douglas sitting in there still, overshadowing you? You could, let me tell you a scenario. God forbid, in a million ways, God forbid. Say that you become the Prime Minister and Douglas sitting in cabinet with him. A veteran politician, a man who has been the Prime Minister for so many years, being schooled by a kindergarten, Douglas could simply ball up, but no, you don't do it so. Stupidness you're doing. You can't direct Douglas. And we know the propensity of Douglas. So that would be a recipe for disaster right there waiting to happen. Douglas might sit in on the first two meetings and then say, I love you with that easy. It's craziness. And one last thing, I'm going to touch on quick. The same callers are always talking about money left in treasury and this lot of money was left there. But when we went at IMF, if all this money was there, why they never do all those programs them offering the people them now, trying to bamboozle the people them with all kind of promises. They had all this money, but why the civil servants them couldn't get all the increments and everything. But we went the IMF for safeguarding. We never borrow money for your pocket full. That reminds me of them man who begging your bills when you don't, they take out a big knot. You feel like too, you know what I mean? That's stupidness they're telling people. Come better than that. PLP all the way. Them traditional labor and from they're going to get a shock of their life because they didn't realize people thinking differently now.
All right.
Said my lad.
Thank you, caller, for your contribution. For the caller that questioned about the electoral office, it's according to the website of the Office of the Attorney General. It says the electoral office operates under the aegis of the Office of the Attorney General. However, its operations are subject to the constitutional guidance of the Supervisor of Elections, who is an independent constitutional functionary, who in turn is supervised by an independent electoral commission comprised as follows: Nazibu Butler as the chairman, O. Grenville Brown as a member, and Jason Hamilton, member. The activities of the electoral office are in keeping with the functional duties of the Supervisor of Elections, supported by specially appointed registration officers. The entire electoral process is governed by the provisions outlined in the Constitution of St. Kitts and Nevis and the National Assembly Elections Act of the laws of St. Kitts and Nevis. There are two location offices in St. Kitts and Nevis, one in Bastia on St. Kitts and one in Charlestown on Nevis, managed by an officer in charge and office manager respectively, with staff complement totaling 6 and 3 respectively. That is just some information on the composition of the electoral offices. It is 12:57. The phone lines are open and we're taking your calls right here on Inside the News on WINNFM 98.9. Thank you so much for your contribution to this program. We had some callers. Okay, the call is back. We'll take this call.
Hello,
Caller,
good morning.
Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning.
You have turn off the hold on, caller. Before you proceed, you have to turn off the radio. There's some feedback.
Sorry, my bad manners. We're having a serious problem on St. Kitts, so I can't understand, right?
Mm-hmm.
We the people who are the government need to stand up and behave like we are the government. Because up to now, and to this point in time, we ain't got no say. Here is the people coming, the candidates, not people, the candidates coming to the government for a job. After they get that job, they now become the government.
Caller? Okay, we seem to have lost that caller. The phone lines are open. We're still taking your calls. People are commenting on their views on the outcome of the next election, which party is better. I mean, everybody's going to say their party is better. After the elections, we're going to see what the results say. It is 1 o'clock. Here in the studios, WINNFM 98.9, just a half an hour left before we close off the program for today. But people have been giving their views and their take on what is to happen, or what is happening now, that is, and what is going to happen after the election. We have some more callers, so let's head back to the phone lines. The caller, you're on the ear. Good afternoon.
Blessed afternoon, Brother Divan. How you there going?
I'm good, thanks. What about yours?
I'm thankful for life, man. Blessed day. And good afternoon to your listeners via radio and internet for WINNFM, as they call Inside the News. So what is on your agenda of your program setting, please, because I'm not close to radio. I'm in St. Paul, 14 my parish out of Bastia.
Well, we've been talking about the recent political events leading up to the election. The Prime Minister is expected to make the announcement tomorrow at a rally. What are your views on what is happening now, and what do you see, which party do you see forming the government next election?
Brother Devan, I'm going to be frank and real serious. Not even none of them ready to formulate the next administration to guide the people that need to be guided, as indication to, as to put forward the way that it's a legislation and go within policy making. Why I say that? Because many people are going to understand it and not try to feel like they have it all well said then. And I'm not trying to say I have the answer neither, because I'm not even trying to emphasize of bringing any kind of result that we can see our people really can bring a massive observed in the change that we are supposed to be of. So let me say this here, Brother Divan, and to the people of Singapoore and the wider world. If we are serious of the social impact to change the context of how we are living towards one another, the first thing is this political party needs to take the gaps and say, come on, let us stop with this animosity towards one another. Let us stop with the tribalism towards one another. Let us bring ourselves to the self-context between development of Sinkit and Nevis together. Let me use the word again. Let us bring ourselves, because I say country about say I don't study to see that matter bring into the format, but it happened. That we can bring our people of Sinkit and Nevis together without having tribalism, without having any format of animosity towards whether you vote the party or you don't vote the party. You see the administration in, you don't indicate from the support that you bring to them. Let us have respect to one another. Why we say that we have respect? Because we find that many parties and the structure of the parties that they're in place on, they make us suffer on a lot of the ways how to control and bring the mechanism in place to keep us under the bottom of the economical ladder. And that is why you see these parties are really glad to see how they're doing to the people. Because they're glad that the people are so weak, so they continue feeding off the weakness. You see? So unless we open up the eyes of the people to bring them to awareness and understanding to how they must consider to be in the way the world is pursued right now, because we say we are part of the global world. But let us understand how we are present in the global world. Because if it's so we're going, we are not opening the eyes of the people. We just continue having them stagnant, keeping them under ignorance, and having them to keep suffocating one another because of greed and grudge and covetousness.
All right.
So I would like to see how people have a greater change in those elements that are facing us in the 21st century, and stop with the kind of negromancy, feeling like labor we're going, it can be better. Not a heck, because labor is worse if they go in. You all have a safe day.
All right, thank you, caller, for your contribution to this program. Let's take this short break to give a shout out to our sponsors, and when we come back, we'll continue Inside the News right here on 1FM 98.9. Just 2 minutes past the hour, so we'll take this break, and when we come back, we'll keep the program flowing. Let me say thank you so much for your contribution thus far. We'll take this break, and we'll be right back.
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is Win FM.
People make the world go
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib. It's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Yes? Jean, body spray's hot, boy. I can't take it.
Well, it's a good thing I called. The TDC Home and Building Depots are having their Cool 'em Down sale with 20% discount on fans, AC units, coolers, fridges, and more to beat this heat, girl.
Girl, Betty, you're making joke.
No, so stop sweating and let's go to the store now.
Ooh, you come pick me up, because may want to miss this sale at TDC Home and Building Depot.
Yeah, man. And don't forget you can also shop online too, using shoptdcgroup.com.
Cool.
Terms and conditions apply. See stores for details.
People make the world go
The views and opinions expressed on this program are solely those of the participant or caller and do not reflect the views of WINNFM 98.9. WINNFM reserves the right to disconnect any caller who infringes the law or offends the right of any person. The station will also refuse to take any call from any person who, in WINNFM's considered opinion, is likely to expose the station to liability for statements made on the air. Welcome back to Inside the News. We have some more callers. Let's head to the phone lines. We'll take these calls. Caller, you're on the air. Caller, please turn off your radio.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry about that. They didn't realize that I was connected.
Some feedback.
Yeah, good afternoon to you, sir. How are you doing?
Good afternoon. I'm great, thanks. What about you?
Yeah, I'm doing wonderful. Yeah, it's quite a while I haven't been on air. Listen up times. I remember, I think a few weeks ago you had on a Friday, I think someone for the PLP party and I really try my best to get in, and I was not successful. It really was unfortunate because I really wanted to address some things. But I just want to say that in terms of first of all, I'm very happy in terms of we getting some rain at this time here in St. Kitts, but fortunately there's no rain in Guyana because there's a third one-day international being played between the West Indies and Bangladesh. Bangladesh leading the series 2-0. And West Indies, unfortunately, after batting first with 178 in 48.4 overs, Bangladesh now having 179 to make. And that's not really any good total to defend. But they will just have to go there. So just for the cricket-loving people, Puran, the captain, scoring 73 from 109 deliveries, and Cathy, 33 from 66 deliveries.
All right.
So I will leave that there for now until I get back to the cricketer. Just let me tune in. So what you have on the agenda going on today?
Well, again, thank you for calling. We are talking on the recent activities, the political events that have been happening with the different political parties. The Prime Minister is expected to ring the bell tomorrow. I just saw an announcement on PLP's Facebook page. So we've been commenting on those things.
Okay. Yes, it's a situation and a position where we have found ourselves as a country, and it's a very unfortunate position where we are today. But I just want to address some things. And let me ask you, first of all, do you believe in democracy?
Yes, I do.
Do you believe the Prime Minister of this country believes in democracy?
I would hope so, yeah.
Well, let me tell you something. That before 2015, when Sam Kondo and Dr. Harris left the government, at that time the government had 7 seats. The opposition had 4. Dr. Harris and Sam Kondo left the government, which means then the government had 5 seats and the opposition had 6. And you know what is the majority of 11, right?
Yeah, that is the 6.
Right, so which means then the government at that time was a minority government.
Mm.
And Dr. Harris went the length and breadth of this country and throughout the region and further afield, stated that the government of St. Kitts and Nevis was minority, illegal, unconstitutional, and all manner of things, which he was right. The government had 5 out of 11. And Dr. Douglas doing all kind of things, grandstanding, and all manner of evil. We had marches, you name it. Now today, the government have 3 seats out of 11. Not 5. They have 3 seats out of 11. And do you know that this is my personal opinion, that even if all 10 were in opposition, do you know, in my personal opinion, Dr. Harris would have feel that he still has the right to be in government and as the government? And this is very, very dangerous when people are going to demonstrate serious hypocrisy, when it is convenient. Not that they are serious, because there are some serious things that I really want to address, and I hope that I get the opportunity. I have to get back to my cricket, but I hope I get the opportunity to speak about. There are so many different things which we have.
But I wanna ask you something, caller. So are you saying that the government today is illegal and is a minority?
The government is absolutely, the government is minority. What is the majority of 11? How many seats in the federal parliament?
Well, we've established that before. We have 11 parliamentary seats. Right now, it's just 3. So, based on what took place with Dr. Douglas back then when he was 5 and the 6, now we have, Dr. Harris is elected, Byron Nisbet is elected, and Eugene Hamilton. So that's 3. So would you say it's minority, and would you say that it is illegal? And finally, would you say that what is happening now is similar to what happened with Dr. Douglas?
They are maybe not exactly the same, but to some extent is the same problem. The bottom line is that a government supposed to govern with the majority of support by the elected members. A government supposed to always have the majority. There are situations, yes, because in this case where 6 people decide to leave the government. The government had 9. 6 decide not to support the Prime Minister, which they have that right. And the Prime Minister decide, and all of these things I am not really happy about, because when you look at it, 6 people decide they don't want to support the Prime Minister, and they have that constitutional right. That is also his right. They didn't do anything wrong. If they choose not to support, which they also have a right to support. So if they choose not to support, which means the government then becomes a minority government. And look what happened. The Prime Minister decided to get rid of the 6. So he preferred to govern with 3, knowing that he will not have the majority of support as ministers. Imagine no Prime Minister in the Caribbean right now is happy with what is going on in St. Kitts and Nevis. None. A lot of things I can tell you. No Prime Minister in the Caribbean right now is happy with what's going on in St. Kitts and Nevis. None. And what's going on in St. Kitts and Nevis could have never take place in a lot of other countries throughout the world. Never could have happened. And I am telling you, if Dr. Harris feels that he has the power to govern with 3 seats and do all of these things that he's doing now, we're supposed to get the power to do with the majority of elected members. I don't think that is going to happen. That is my personal belief, that is not going to happen. And in reference to the Labour Party, and before I move on, let me just ask you this question. In terms of the NGOs, I am very disappointed. Very, very, very disappointed. I think since the government got in a position where they got 3 seats, the NGOs should have definitely made a statement at that time. And based on what happened, because I don't understand, you dissolved the parliament, why you did not call election? Why you did not? We should have had election by now. We should have had election by now. I mean, this is really ridiculous in terms of where we are today as a country. It is a serious international embarrassment where we are today. Nobody's supposed to be grandstanding throughout the country with 3 seats and feel that you have all the constitutional power to do all manner of evil, which you were saying somebody was illegal when they were doing with 5. But you have the legal to do with 3. Hello?
Yeah, Carl, I'm listening to you.
So I just want to say before I leave, in reference to policies and programs that still positively affecting the people of St. Kitts and Nevis and for the eternity. These policies and programs were introduced by PAM. The Eastern Peninsula, Southeastern Peninsula, Port Zante, and the CBI. Name any 3 policies by any other parties that can positively, programs I am talking about that were created, were created because people might say that the Labour Party brings social security and bring this, bring that. These are expected things by a government. But is it the bright vision to implement something like a CBI? You know that was implemented for the first time in the world by the St. Kitts Nevis government. Are you aware of that?
Mm-hmm.
No, are you aware of it?
Yes, I am.
Are you aware that the Southeastern Peninsula was built and was officially opened on the 24th of December in 1989 under PAM government?
Yes, I am.
Are you aware of that?
I am, caller. Caller, we're running out of time, so please quickly wrap it up.
Okay. Let me just say that the Prime Minister has to call the election soon. We are going to have a decision, a very important decision to make. This is not an election that is a joke election. Let the Prime Minister continue to chat his nonsense on the platform. But I will say before you leave, I want you to go back and listen by the presentation of the 3 leaders of the 3 political parties in St. Kitts. The People's Action Movement at the launch, the People's Labour Party at the launch, and the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party at the launch. In your spare time, I want you to go back and listen to those 3 presentations. And I am telling you that without a doubt, the People's Action Movement has the best hope for St. Kitts and Nevis.
All right.
I am looking forward for serious debate to come going forward.
All right, thank you, caller.
For now, because I have to get back to my city.
Thank you so much for your contribution to this program. Let's take this short break and we'll be right back. Stick and stay.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Class, it's that time of year again to get everything you need for back to school. Go to the TDC Home and Building Depot in St. Kitts and City Drugstore Nevis Limited or shop tdcgroup.com. Shop and get deep discounts for all your school essentials. Backpacks, notebooks, pens, pencils, school bundles, computers, and more. While you're there, be sure to donate to Shop and Share to help the less fortunate and stay ahead of the grade. Oh, and don't forget, Flash Sale Fridays. Now that you know, class is dismissed. See you at the TDC Home and Building Depot and City Drugstore Nevis Limited. Terms and conditions apply. See stores for details.
People make the world go
Welcome back to Inside the News, guys. We have about 8 minutes left. Let's head back to the phone lines. They are ringing. It's ringing off the hook. Let's take this call. Caller, good afternoon. You're on the air.
Yes, good afternoon again, Divan. I just got a little listening on your last caller there, and I find it very strange in his deliverance for him making, pursuing his observation towards in the aspect of leadership role, because he outlined to you about the three political parties and the mantra what they stand in the policy making, right?
Yes.
So he said that the PAM party have the best mantra in that level of making sure that Sinkers and Nevis go on the standard that he's supposed to be.
Well, that is his opinion. You're free to agree or disagree.
No, man, trying to disquote him. I just want to make sure is that I heard him say it. Because me have something I would like to say there.
Go right
Well,
ahead.
we had 15 years of under Dr. Kennedy, the Right Honorable Dr. Kennedy Alfonso Simmons, who was our first Prime Minister, as it stated, from since 1983 to 1995. Now, he just stated that under the stewardship of the PAM party, the Southeast Peninsula was an economical drive for who? Not for the poor, but for the rich. Can we be realistic with that? My brethren Maynard, because he's what I am talking out here to you. And you know when I talk without any fear or favor. Now, if you really serious about bringing an educational drive to our people, about the PAM party, let us be real. Because under the stewardship of Simon, there was a lot of hurdles that was dividing our people along the way. You hear me? And even under
I'm
the
following
stewardship of Denzel Douglas, there was a lot of hurdles that were dividing our people along the way. And even under the stewardship of Dr. Timothy Harris, who is now our Prime Minister, there's still hurdles that are dividing our people along the way. That's why I tell you, all of the man that the tribalism need to stop. We're not using the farmer to do the proper thing. It's education we need to drive to our people. Because a lot of people living off of ignorance and off of the ego, not off of conscious levels. If it was on a conscious level, we would not be in this mess that we're facing here today. So these are the things these people really need to come and put on the format of social change to our people so we can have a level of respect. Not be grudge to one another, but respect one another so we can build a better nation for the next generation coming. If this is how we're developing, we are far off from going forward in bringing a truth to our people. So, Brother Divan, I'm glad that you got your farm today.
All right.
Keep positive and continue doing the agitation to educate our people in the way that you can see levels go with levels of respect and understanding in a common way. Have a blessed afternoon.
You too, and thank you so much for your contribution to this program. This is Inside the News right here on WINNFM 98.9. I'm your host for today, Devon Cornelius. It is 1:27, a few minutes left before we close out the program today at 1:30. Let's head back to the phone lines. We'll take this caller. The caller, you are on the air. Good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
Yes, caller, good afternoon. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Yes, as a caller was saying that the Labour Party is the best choice in this election. And I will challenge him on that, because let's take a look at agriculture. The situation that we face in agriculture, the PAM Party has been speaking about the issues that we are facing today in agriculture for well over almost, let's say, 30 years, you know? And the Labour Party was there for 20 years. They were successful in bringing an end to a 400-year-old industry. And after that, what we have in agriculture, not even could have bring, when you had all those land free, not even could have bring a land use policy to move agriculture forward. The Labour Party has actually put agriculture and I must say, like, support. Let's take a look at the universal health care. The PAM party was speaking about universal health insurance since 95. We had 20 years of labor. They couldn't implement it. Some work was done under this administration. So if you look at the Labour Party actually the party that is responsible for most of the social breakdown in this island. Most of the social breakdown, what is happening right now? You got to lay at the feet of the Labour Party. The PAM Party, who had a robust sporting agenda. The PAM Party put sporting facility in every community. Under the Labour 20 years, those sporting facilities, most of them was in disrepair. The PAM Party decided that they're going to send people to Olympic Mission Atlanta. That was 95. $1 million to send athletes to Olympic. What we had from the Labour Party? The Labour Party leave a bitter taste in everybody's mouth. That's why you see the Labour Party can attract new people. They have let down this country so bad. You go around and you speak to people, they'll tell you that they don't want but the Labour Party. That's why many people are so disappointed that the unity had to break up. And then when you look at the leader of the unity, that's the Labour man. The Labour man, you know him coming out. You can't one policy that him come up with. In his whole political career, you cannot point to one policy he single-handedly put I honestly feel like when most people think that he's God's gift to politics, I honestly feel like he's overrated.
Well, caller, thank you for your contribution. All right, we're out of time. We'll have to bring this program to an end right now. Thank you so much for your contribution to this program. This is the end of Inside the News right here on WINNFM 98.9 for Saturday, July 16, 2022. It is 1:31. I've been your host for today, Devon Cornelius. Thank you so much for joining me. Those of you who contributed to the program with your calls, those of you who sent messages, those of you for following, those of you on the social media stream, Facebook and YouTube, thank you so much for your contribution. Stay tuned to WINNFM 98.9. Of course, at 6 p.m. we have our daily sports and newscast. As I said earlier, the Prime Minister is expected to announce the date for Election Day, of course, nomination day as well, at a political rally tomorrow evening in constituency number 7. That is the constituency that he will be running in the upcoming National Assembly election. So expect an announcement tomorrow. I didn't say there will be an announcement tomorrow. I said expect one. Until next time, you guys, stay safe. Take good care. Bye-bye.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.